On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, what?
2 turtle doves.
Yes. And so in today's gospel, we have the story of 2 turtle doves being presented by Joseph and Mary in the temple. Why 2 turtle doves? Did you catch that? Because in today's gospel, we have the story of Mary's purification and Jesus' presentation in the temple. Why were they presenting Jesus in the temple? Because Jesus was the firstborn, and according to the law, the firstborn son belonged to whom? To God. And so you had to redeem, or you had to buy back your son. What was the cost? 2 turtle doves. Today was one long gospel, amen?
Amen.
With lots of details about how it was that Mary and Joseph took their child Jesus up to the temple, and how it was that Simeon recognized that this child was no ordinary child. This child was the Messiah that he'd been waiting for. He knew that he wasn't going to die until he saw the Messiah. And what did he see that day? The Messiah. And the prophetess Anna was there as well. And Anna recognized how it was that there was something special about this child. Today's gospel ends talking about how it is that Jesus grew up. He grew in wisdom and grace. And then the story stops there, and we'll get a brief story when he's 12 years old, but then the story picks up when he's 30 years old. These are the only stories that we have of Jesus' birth and his presentation in the temple, and later getting lost in the temple, but we don't know a lot about Jesus. So we have to imagine what Jesus was like as a kid. Shall we try imagining that for a moment? What was Jesus like as a kid? Did he, for instance, mouth off to his mom? What do you think? Doesn't fit with your picture of Jesus? No? Was he a bully at school? Doesn't fit with your picture of Jesus? Was he mean to his little cousins? Doesn't fit with our picture of Jesus. How interesting that today's Feast of the Holy Family talks to us all about relationships and invites us to imagine what it was like to be part of that Holy Family, because it's hard to imagine Jesus mouthing off to Mary. Hard to imagine, right? So if it's hard to imagine that, then why is it so easy for us to remember all those times when we've not lived as family so well? Follow me? It seems that the Holy Family gives us an example, gives us a model of how it is that we can live in family. Why aren't we being that way? Why aren't we asking ourselves, what would Jesus do? WWJD, right? In today's first reading, we have a great reading on relationships between parents and children. Are children supposed to mouth off to their parents? What does today's first reading say? Children, love and honor your parents. Even when they're advanced in age, it says, take care of your parents when they are old, grieve them not. If their minds fail, be considerate of them. Take care of those people who gave you life. Remember that in the Bible, life is a sacred thing. And those people who shared life with you, treat them well. It's all about our relationships. Today's letter to the Colossians, today's second reading, fascinating as well, because the author is saying in the same way that you get dressed in the morning, that's how you need to get dressed with various virtues. Think about it for a moment. What are you wearing today? Think of all the pieces of clothing that you're wearing today. Shoes and socks and coats and pants and blouses or shirts. You know, we're dressed in all sorts of things. What does the author of today's second reading say? When you get dressed in the morning, clothe yourselves. Do we see that in the first line of today's second reading? Put on what? Put on heartfelt compassion. In the same way that you put on your socks in the morning, put on heartfelt compassion. So far, so good? What else are we supposed to put on? Put on kindness in the same way that you put on your shirt or your blouse. Put on kindness. Put on humility in the same way that you put on your belt or your earrings. Put on humility, gentleness, and patience. Do you want to take a scissors and cut out these words and put them on your bathroom mirror so that when you're getting ready in the morning you can clothe yourselves in these virtues? How should we be dressing ourselves in the morning? With heartfelt compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And then are we done and ready to go out and meet the world? No. What does the author of the letter to Colossians say? In line number 6, and over all of these things now that you've put on heartfelt compassion and kindness and humility and gentleness and patience, what are we going to do? Put on top of all of that? Line 6, on top of all of that, put on love. So that when people look at you, what do they see? Love. It's not wearing love like you wear your socks all hidden. No. Can you tell what color socks I'm wearing today? No. Can you tell the color t-shirt that I'm wearing today? No. Why? Because on top of all of that, I put this chasuble, that's what they call this fancy thing that we wear, right? In the same way, we need to put love on top of everything else so that when a person looks at us, what do they see? Love. How different would your relationships be if you got dressed in the morning with compassion and kindness and humility and gentleness and patience? Ooh, that's a tough one. Dressing yourself in patience. But on top of all of that, what are we putting on? Love. So that when a person looks at you, what do they see? Love. Brothers and sisters, if we're really going to be the holy family here on earth, it's time for us to start acting like it, and time for us to start dressing the part, right? Clothing ourselves in all of those great virtues, and on top of all of them, putting on love, so that when people look at us this new year, what do they see? Love. This is Father Jayme's Sunday Sermon. Watch it, like it, share it, live it, go.